as the cars make their way out of pit lane. A couple of guys to join us here in the commentary box who know so much about the Formula Atlantic class. It is a class that, from an entry list perspective, equals the greatest ever lineup this country has seen of these sorts of cars. We are talking about Formula Atlantic. Delighted to be joined by John Tomlin and Donald McDonald, who know a massive amount about these cars. Caleb Taupō, who has been racing in recent years in CT Frock, is at the wheel of one of these cars, and he's been mighty fast so far this weekend. There are stories like Andrew Miedeke, who's back behind the wheel of a car and an open wheeler that had some success in Asia. It's been hanging on the wall, if you like, of his dealership for a number of years, and at the request of Mike Borlam, they've done a wonderful restoration on that car. It's racing again. Malcolm Osler, who famously worked for BAR, for Jaguar in Formula One, in the upper levels of design and engineering, among other roles that he's had, is competing in this field. Tim Miles at the wheel of the fourth car you can see in the order there at the moment, once raced by none other than Jos Verstappen, father of Max Verstappen. We'll take a look at the grid for you. 23 set to take the start here of this one. Damon Leach is in the field as well, brother of Brendan Leach, who's been competing with Tim Miles in Australia in the GT Championship, and Damon's at the wheel of a very special car too. John, why don't we wander through some of these, because the walk down memory lane is incredibly special. There are so many stories, not just the drivers, but about the cars and what they did back in the day. Welcome.
Absolutely, Rusty, and thanks for that welcome. But yes, there's some cool cars out there. You can talk some cool cars out there, and the car on pole position at the moment is James Watson, and he is in the number 31 Swift DB4. You can see it going around turn one now, the black car with the yellow stripe. That's one of the Pope cars that came out here in the mid-80s to race, and the car back in sixth position there with Pope on the side of it is the sister car to that car. So both those cars racing here in New Zealand. Car in second place is being driven by Caleb Taupō, and that's a Swift DB4. That won the New Zealand Grand Prix here in 1989 with Dean Hall driving it. It was powered by a Ford BDA engine. It turned back up here in 1991 with none other than our own Craig Baird in it, with a Toyota motor in it, and he won the Grand Prix in 1991. In between that, there's a bloke coming out there in car number 11, Swift DB4, none other than the great Kenny Smith, and he won the Grand Prix in 1990 in that car, and it's been in his ownership ever since. He bought it brand new. It's been sitting in his workshop for quite some years, and he spent the last 2 years completely restoring it.
It's beautiful.
And it is his second only ever race meeting in that car. On debut, and its re-debut, I should say, he took out third place at the Formula Open class in Hampton Downs.
So cars line up behind the Toyota Supra safety car. If you were looking at the grid roll up there, our graphic a moment ago, your eyes don't deceive you. Greg Murphy is at the wheel of a car with the number 51 in this field. They have had some dramas with some electrical gremlins in that car, but it does seem to be ironed out. Wasn't quite, I think, performing as we saw at the end of practice yesterday in qualifying.
He was having trouble with the tyres and the setup of the car. The car hasn't turned a wheel for many years, and it's been completely real. Okay, the safety lights are out on the safety car. Now, you will notice pole position here is James Watson. He's on the outside. Now, that's not normally how you would see pole position at this track, but under a rolling start, due to the FIA rules, the pole position is on the right-hand side of the track. So as they come down into turn one, which is a tight right-hander, it's going to be very busy into that corner. I think all the boys are clever enough to look after each other. But 26 Formula Atlantic, or 24 now at the moment, going into that corner in an angry pack where they do need to look out for each other. Okay, so here
Taupō goes wheel to wheel as they head for the start-finish line, and we're underway. We get the green. Tim Miles has a little look to the inside as well. I think Taupō will get the race lead as they go through the first corner. Damon Leach, I think, has made a little bit of ground already in that car. You can't miss it, the Chatan livery.
I'll tell you what, this is Ethan Sille. Now that is a late model car, and he is snapping at the heels of Taupō. And actually, I'm a bit surprised there because James Watson did share with me what his race tactics were going to be, and that's not what he was going to do. So he's running off into the front now. And so there we go. Damon Leach sitting there, monstering the back of Gary Rush, and now he's got past him. So that's a Swifty, Rolt RT4. That's the ex-Jacques Lafitte car that won the 82 Australian Grand Prix and is then owned by Kenny Smith and races the Apple Car Company car. And it's now back in the hands of Barry Leach, Brendan and Damon's father, and he's restored it back to its original colour scheme.
He very kindly brought the car out to Teretonga in the last 18 months or so for a story that we were doing, and it was wonderful to hear it, see it in action. Once again, Watson looks like he's absolutely bolted here, doesn't he? The timing monitor says it's only 0.01, but I think the gap is bigger than that.
By the time he comes across the line, it'll be nearly a second. So, and but Nato's got his hands full. Oh, Gary Rush getting back past Damon Leach.
I think he had, his eyes on the mirrors with Leach fast approaching, and it got awkward through the final couple of corners there, didn't it? So,
okay, so there's a success story in the second Pope car there. This is this young man's first ever race meeting in a single-seater of any type, and that's 18-year-old Ollie Sench. And he's also here today racing. There's a bit of a replay there, and Gary Rush getting completely out of shape.
Ollie's been doing a great job in the Escort. He's on double duty this weekend, as you rightly say, and has, as you say, it might be, something with, limited miles for him in this class, but boy, he's shown his talent, hasn't he? Great job.
He's a great job. He was actually telling me that he gets out of this, gets into the Escort, goes out there, and keeps going, thinks, oh, hang on a minute, I'm not in the Atlantic, I need to brake.
So Murphy's into the top 10, so Greg Murphy's made some ground as well. So Minicky's a little bit further back at present, back in about 20th spot. No doubt his son George is watching. Here's Murph in the 51.
Okay, we've got somebody stopped out here. Oh, now that's John Pike, I think, in the Tiger.
Now, will that necessitate a safety car? Because where that car is parked, and we've got safety car boards and flags being shown here at Taupō International Motorsport Park. They release the Supra. They'll control the field, which means all that great work that James Watson has done over Caleb Natoa will get whittled away again. We'll bunch the field back up.
Yeah, okay, so there we go. So that's John Pike and the Tiger. So that car is a very special car. It's one of not many built, and it's built by a joint venture between Howard and Ganley and Tim Schenken with the Tiger cars, and they built those. I think they built about 4 or 5 of those cars, and the people call it a Tigger, but it's not.
Tiger, yeah.
Howard and Ganley said it's definitely a Tiger, and so that's closed the field up. So
Tim Schenken made it all the way to Formula One, obviously, and has done a lot of great work with what was the Confederation of Australian Motorsport, now Motorsport Australia, in an officiating capacity, working regularly at the Formula One event in Melbourne. But yes, as you say, for a time was a constructor, wasn't he?
Well,
So,
actually, you talk about Tim making it to Formula One. That's how he met Howden, because Howden was a Works BRM driver. Howden was actually Bruce McLaren's second ever mechanic when he started McLaren motor racing, and Howden was over there working for him, and then he went on to race for McLaren Formula 5000. Then he got snapped up by the BRM factory to race for BRM, and then he went on to Japanese car, and he nearly ended his career, so nearly ended his life actually at Nürburgring. But so Howden pops back here to New Zealand every now, lives in Los Angeles now, and has a collection of his old racing cars, and we're very lucky to have that car over here and racing here in New Zealand, because there's only about 5 of them in the world, I believe.
Scheduled to have 8 laps to go in this one. An invigorated Greg Murphy senses with the field being bunched up here, a chance to grab some more positions. So recovery team going to work here. So they'll obviously have a little bit of trouble getting it moved.
I would say that's a broken diff, or seized diff, to be honest with you. If you can't tow it, it's a seized diff. So, but these guys are amazing about rectifying these. Tim Miles yesterday had a
late night for the crew on that car.
Yeah, but James Watson got in his car, drove all the way back to drove all the way back to Hampton Downs, grabbed a whole load of spare parts, and brought them back down just so Tim Miles could be out on the track today.
Amazing. Kenny Smith was very helpful in all of that, I think, too,
He was,
wasn't he?
yes,
So,
yes.
yeah, so great work. While we're under safety car here, we might reminisce a little bit with you, Donald, if we can. I mean, there's some great names, not just behind the wheel of the car here. I mean, Graham Lawrence immediately springs to mind, and there are other great stories from the various different eras. We should point out too that we have Atlantic Class A, B and C here, and they are indicative of the different eras of the category, aren't they?
Oh, exactly. From 1976, 1977, when they first started in New Zealand, right through to the late middle 90s, when we went to form Mondial, and that it all changed again. The era, and you can see in the changes in the cars, we've talked about that before, the flat bottoms, the ground effects, the little older ones, and the difference in speed is amazing. But look at them out there at the moment, putting on a fantastic show, nose to tail, all around the place. Pick a winner, I won't. But it's amazing. The cars are wonderful. They're so beautifully prepared. I think that's the secret. When you talk about Graham Lawrence, Graham's down there, and he, of course, ran the Phillips car stereo car, and Dean Hall won the New Zealand Grand Prix. Graham was a legend in his own right in New Zealand. He was a former Tasman champion in the gorgeous Dino Ferrari, did his thing in the Lolas. It's just wonderful. And there's so many legends down there. I mean, okay, you get to trip over them whilst we're talking about this as the cars go around. We've retrieved the car off the circuit, I see, so we should be under green reasonably soon. The pace car's still got the lights on, taking the field around. But how many cars have we lost out there? One.
He's a proper treasure of New Zealand motorsport, I think is, you know, that's very, very, very fair to say. Why is this class so fondly remembered? Any Kiwi you talk to that remembers this era of motorsport, they light up. Craig Baird lit up yesterday when we got talking about it. And, you know, I mean, you boys talked earlier today. I mean, Steve Millen holds a very special place in the history of this class too, doesn't he?
Exactly.
So,
well, I think we've seen, just prior to this, we saw the Formula 5000s. Now, that's what we had in the 70s up till 76. This was the change. And we all said earlier this morning, oh no, 1600cc four-cylinder motors, no, won't work. Look, it does work. Look at them. The sight, wings and slicks, cool little cars, got a gear lever, no data logging, don't know what that is, steering wheel. The driver drives the car.
Oh no, we've lost Ollie's parked on the side of the track. What's happened there? So,
talking about the pub cars before, weren't you? So now that'll keep us probably till about the midpoint of this race too, because we.
Well, that will be. Well, actually, you can see the name on the side of the car, Steve Cameron. Steve Cameron actually raced that car here many years back.
So we've done 4 laps out of the 10, I see. So 6 to go, but a couple under safety car, unfortunately.
Well, the thing is, Don, and I think you'll agree with me on this. Even back in the day, these cars were fragile. I mean, you've got a little four-cylinder pumping out nigh on 250 horsepower through, and especially in the Swifts, they had a stacked gearbox in them, which was basically a Formula Ford gearbox. And to try and channel all that horsepower through, it was either the gearbox was going to break or the engine was going to break. And they aren't much better after 50 years or 40-odd years.
Ask them what revs they run at. You talk to 29 different drivers, you get 29 different revs.
Can I very quickly, we should make the point to both of you, many fans that are perhaps watching through the Stuff Speed Hub, maybe watching back over in Australia, for example, or internationally, would have been hoping to see Stephen Richards, the multiple Bathurst champion in this class, and very sadly,
what a sad story.
he put so much personal work into that. It's a project that he was so excited about. When you look at his career, dominated by touring car racing, successful in Formula Ford, but there's only this very tiny little stat in relation to his time in a wings and slicks car, and that was an unexpected test with Alan Docking Racing in the UK. He said, beyond that, I haven't really driven them.
Yep.
So he was so thrilled about the chance to do that, but unfortunately the car's out the back and not going any further.
Unfortunately, it came down the front straight here on the very first lap of practice on Friday, and shall we say, the block ventilated itself by sticking a push rod out the side of it. It was the biggest blow-up I've ever seen. This huge cloud of oil smoke. And what's young Ethan doing? Ethan Sillay's off now. He's got an issue. So
just when we thought we might get the action back underway, there's Brendan Hartley, Tom Alexander to his or your left of screen, I should say. Brendan, enormously successful.
Well, of course, Brendan's dad's out there.
Correct.
Brendan's dad's out there in car number 28, and he's actually, with Tom Alexander, is, as we know, Kenny Smith's protege, and Kenny and Brian are together on the track. So it's pretty cool, actually, seeing
Brian's 11th. Kenny is 12th. That's the update for you. A couple of other positions we should talk about. Caleb Taupō is 3rd in the queue here, but just with what's happened with Sile, we'll update that. That should give him 2nd, shouldn't it? Yeah. So a few others. Murphy is 7th. Damon Leach is 6th. Gary Rush is 5th. But it should put Watson to the effective lead from Taupō, shouldn't it, with what's happened there? So.
Well, actually, to be honest with you, this is actually what most people don't realise is this is benefiting Taupō, because Taupō's car is burning up its tyres much quicker than James Watson's car. James's car is probably one of the best set up Formula Atlantics in the country, because it's he's had this car for nearly 8 years.
Is that a drama for the Leach car? Hand in the air,
yes,
something going on, hand in the air there. So Damon.
And I was just about to tell you, keep an eye on Damon Leach when they restart. What's happened here? Hand went up, car still rolling. Looking down on the cockpit, gear shift possibly.
Yeah, it's gear shift problems. There goes Kenny just past him now with Brian Hartley just in front of him. Gary Rush back there a little bit further. So Brendan's going to go to the outside. He's going up the escape road.
He's definitely off.
It's a shame.
It's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah.
Great shame. So.
Barry, get the spanners out, mate. Looks like something else needs work, but Damon Leach will not be taking the restart.
Great to see him steering here again this weekend too.
He will actually be steering that car at Hampton Downs in a couple of weeks' time.
Excellent.
So
yeah, Barry's having a lot of fun on that gorgeous Cortina that you built up, the replica John Whitmore, Jackie Stewart car from Allen Man Racing, Byfleet in Auckland. But just speaking to him about half an hour ago, how's it going? It's wallowing all over the place. We've got to do this, we've got to do that. Typical racing driver, nothing's ever right. But he's having a great time out there. And, of course, young Brendan having a wonderful weekend in Dubai, sticking the Lambo on pole. That's just so good.
Got the opportunity, I should say, Don, to work on the broadcast of the GT Series last year, and he partnered very successfully with Tim Miles in the Audi, and together they did, I mean, particularly even at Phillip Island, Tim arguably had one of his best ever drives there. They were a great combination, the pair of them. So look forward to seeing what happens with them, and hopefully they can keep that partnership going in the GT Championship across the ditch there in 2025. In the meantime, Tim is in the queue here behind Watson and Taupō, doing a good job in the ex-Jos Verstappen car. Been talking about Damon. Here he is back in the lane. Gary Ortford to the right of screen there as well from Kiwi Motorsport. He's been hands-on with Murph's car and ensuring that's all right this weekend.
He has too. So he's helped a big time.
Great man.
So anyway, so they're I think they're going to get the go this time, are they? Probably. And yeah, so this is why we like to have so many Formula Atlantics on track, because they don't all get through the race. So it's unfortunately, as I say, they're pretty fragile, and they when they're going, they go. But
magic sound though. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, people will notice there's a different sound coming out of all of the flat bottom cars and Kenny's car, because those are running Ford BDA engines. All the front cars are running Toyotas.
Yeah. So lights out on the safety car. We're about to go green once again. What does this do for the likes of a Miles, a Gary Rush, or even a Greg Murphy, who is up in 5th place now in this race?
Yeah,
Brian Hartley is 9-2, and Kenny Smith is in the 10 on the adjusted order. We're about to go racing once again, the first one of the weekend in Formula Atlantic. So much excitement about this class, and Australia has done its share as well. There's a good chunk of cars that have come from across the Tasman to be a part of this. Such was the energy behind it. Watson leads, little glance in the rearview mirror just to see what Miles might do, what Taupō might do. They're cleanly through turn 1. In the middle of that pack is the 51 of Murphy. Here he comes.
Oh, look at that. He's just put a beautiful move on Gary Rush there. And he's so Rushy is trying his best. Smithy's buried in the pack. Taupō are going to try and go around the outside of Watson here. You're not going to do it there. Down into 7 here. Might try and have a look here. But he's not. If he can't get past Watson here, Watson will pull away from him here up the straight car. He's got a little bit more power, and he's a little bit better setup, and he'll be absolutely flat through turn 9. You can see Watson just easing out that gap now as they go through there. Taupō's flat through there as well. They're both the only two guys brave enough to go through there with their foot hard to the board. So here they come up to, I think this is 12, isn't it?
Up the top. Before they come onto the back straight, they sweep left here. Caleb Taupō was grinning from ear to ear when we were talking about this yesterday. I know he would dearly love to still be at the wheel of a CT Frock car and competing against the likes of an Arvid Lindblad or a Will Brown, but this has been just as exciting for him. Murphy was closer to Miles when they got to the top turn, but he's dropped a bit of ground here now, and he's lost a spot to Rush. Exactly right. So
Gary Rush will absolutely be fizzing with that. I mean, that car's been giving him hell. James Watson took some time out and set the car up for him a couple of weeks back, and Gary said to me, in the 7 years he's owned this car, it's never handled like it's handling now. Oh, Murph trying to get down the inside of Rush. And full credit to Gary, gave him plenty of room there. And but no, he's going to shut the door here. You're going to have to go around the long way, Murph.
Now, boys, I am under a little bit of pressure. I had a glass of lemonade yesterday with one Andy McElroy at a welcome function here, and he tells me that Tim Miles has jokingly been calling his car Taylor Swift. so apparently I had to weave that in somewhere. I don't know if that's the most appropriate place to do that, but so there you go. Big g'day to Andy, who runs a Kiwi, who runs a very successful Porsche team on the Gold Coast, and haven't they unearthed some stars that have gone on to some great things?
Certainly have. So now we're looking at Ken Smith here, who's actually dropped behind car number 4, which is
he's in the top 10. He's up to 8th.
Yeah, but that car that in front of him shouldn't be there. That is an early March. It's a 1988 March. It's a very, very, very early aerodynamic, what they call them, ground effect car. And but now Smithy's got the bit between his teeth now. He's pulled out. Peter Lucas not too far behind him. He's coming in there as well.
This is a good scrap at the lead. Look at these two boys. Nose to tail, full clear of the third place car. Nothing going
Peter
on.
Lucas. Beautiful pass there by Lucas on Chapman. As
here comes Taupō up the inside, nowhere to go, gets the door slammed shut, coming round through the S's over towards the off-camber corner on the right-hand. They're coming in there, it's still Watson.
There you go, Don. On
the
request, our directors answered your call because Taupō is doing this with earnest, and that's because we're running out of time here, boys. We've got about a lap and a half left to go. So Caleb Taupō with the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 24.
We're losing another Atlantic's going to bring another safety car out. So
that's a shame, because that scrap at the front's great. They've pulled well clear Tim Miles. Got to be impressed with Tim Miles' performance in the car. Guy, really good GT racing driver, single-seater.
Thomas Chapman is that. So that might, boys, that might end things here if we do go safety car. It remains green here at the moment at Taupō.
They're trying to get the recovery vehicle to him as quickly as possible, but they might just throw a local yellow on that for now.
We're showing 1 lap to go in the race.
So they probably... Nato has put in a quick time. A 1:24.844. First one to go under 25. Watson's only on a 25.009. But I can tell you now, there's a little bit more in the tank of that car. So we're just waiting now for if they can get that car away.
Should get the last lap board this time by, and I think, as you rightly point out, that should be local yellow once they get through turn 1. Look at Taupō. Willing goes around the outside, or tries the outside line on James Watson. Can't quite do it there, and he hasn't got the nose up enough. He does now. Maybe he does now, but is that tricky there? We need to understand from a flag perspective, is that a local yellow at that point?
Look at these two side by side the whole way. And Taupō down the inside at 5, but he's not going to hang on to that there. Watson will Watson's
got the run to the hairpin, full clear.
Watson's got a little bit more grunt in the back of his car than Taupō has got. And but having said that, I mean, you know, James Watson races this car once a year, and look at him out there at the moment running against the young fella who's quite a seasoned campaigner. And we've got another one out in the kitty litter. That's Andy Neal. Out there.
We're on the run home though, and I can tell you that Greg Murphy is closing on Gary Rush for 4th place, and that's another little battle we need to keep an eye on. Tim Miles has a buffer, a safety margin. Sideways Watson out of the final turn. Was Taupō that little bit cleaner? Can he get close enough here to make a move under brakes in the final couple of corners? Magic stuff in the Atlantics.
Watson will go tight here. Yep, exactly.
Defends Taupō, trying to go the other way, or sideways from Caleb Taupō. Not enough. It is spectacular. Congratulations. James Watson will take it out from Caleb Taupō.
He's happy about that.
As he should be, and we're waiting for Tim Miles to come through.
Hang on, look at the fight here between Rush and Murph to the line. Murph's trying to get it. He's too little, too late. And
Close.
Gary Rush will be absolutely stoked with that one, I can tell you right now.
Kenny Smith is going to finish, I think, in 7th place. 6th place, in fact. The timing update for you. Kenny Smith, 6th position as they cross the line there. Race 1 of the Formula Atlantics for the weekend. Tremendous.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. And, you know, full credit to Murph. He came from way back down in 15th position to finish in 5th.
And how's some of the other names here? Brian Hartley got to 8th.
Yep.
In the top 10 there are a few others who've been able to climb through and make a mark. Shame for Damon Leach. We saw him, unfortunately, out of the game earlier in the race, and for Oliver Sench. Kenny Smith, 6th. Brian Hartley, 8th. Malcolm Osler, 9th. And Andrew Miedeke rounds out the top 10. Shame for Andy Neal there on the run to the line, but no problems for the 31 for this man. Wins the opener, and hasn't that set the tone for the weekend? Yes, we had a couple little moments for some cars, and you get that with historic machinery from time to time, but Watson from Natoa and Miles, they are your top 3. Highlights for you for the first one of the weekend in Formula Atlantic. A wonderful field of cars, some great drivers among them, incredible history in these machines. It got a little interesting as they came through that part of the circuit, the final couple of corners. Unfortunately, Damon Leach would be out. He wouldn't be the only retirement in this race. We'd be under the Supra safety car for a little while, which bunched the field up.
Well, just looking at the infield there at the moment, Rusty, it looks like Karanga Happy Road car park out there. They're all like, it's parked in the middle of the field there.
When we went racing once again after the safety car departed, as you can see on our highlights here, it gave Greg Murphy a chance to pick up a couple of spots. He was engaged in a great duel with Gary Rush all the way to the checkered flag. Caleb Natoa more or less pulled the pin. A great lap from him. He fought James Watson, but Watson would hang on for the race win ultimately, but not before Natoa had one final roll of the dice, and gee, it was spectacular.
It was. Boy, those guys were really at it. Look at Watson there, completely sideways out of the top corner. That gave Natoa, he got a good exit, but he just didn't have quite enough to get round the outside. He couldn't pick that slipstream on him. These Swifts are actually very hard to get a slipstream off.
Watson covered was enough to win the opener of the weekend from Caleb Natoa and Tim Miles. We'll go to the scoreboard for you, all brought to you by Sixth Rent-A-Car. Here is a part of our Taupō Historic Grand Prix. So the confirmation is 0.6. It looked even closer than that between Watson and Natoa. An excellent result for Tim Miles. He will be chuffed with that, given the late night work that team did on the ex-Jos Verstappen car last night. Gary Rush holds out just over Greg Murphy. Kenny Smith in the 10, Brian Hartley 8th, Malcolm Osler 9th, and Andrew Miedeke in that car, which for several decades has been on display at his dealership and has been lovingly rebuilt at the insistence of Mike Borland and the likes of Malcolm Osler. Great job to get in the 10. He's enjoying being back in an open wheeler.
He's having a ball. In fact, actually, when you say on display, it was actually bolted to a wall.
All right. Hey, thank you for joining us, and we're looking forward to your insights and Don's over the weekend. The fans here are enjoying it. We are not done yet because CT Frock is coming your way. Let's go to Victory Lane. Here's Stephen.
James Watson, the finger comes up. Yeah, I like that. What was that all about?
It's been a while since I've been on new tyres, and someone had to keep Caleb honest, so I'm just happy that we've got similar cars and we can, it's all down to the driver.
How good was that, though? That was 4 laps, basically. It was a sprint.
Yeah, I'd like to say I was managing that gap, but Caleb came up on me at the end and got a lot closer than I would have liked. But no, it was good racing side by side, lots of room given, and just maybe closed a little bit less room at the end there, so we made sure we got the win.
Fun?
Hell of a lot of fun, and it's probably all down to Mark Mallett at Creme Insurance for the setup he gave me to run on this one.
Oh, he set the car up?
Yeah, he did all the work on the car, turning the spanners, so credit to him.
Oh, he's going to love this. He's going to dine out on that. Congratulations, mate. Great entertainment.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Let's find Caleb Natoa. Where's Caleb Natoa? Come on, stop talking to your adoring fans and come and talk to me. Over here. Mate, were you trying to bend that thing because it looks like you were bending it through corners? That was so much fun to watch.
Oh man, that was like so much fun. These cars are just absolutely grouse. I mean, Me and James, we were fighting hard. He's moving under brakes a little bit, but I'm going to get him next race for sure. I'm going to be putting as much pressure as I just did.
Was it a bit frustrating really only getting 4 fast laps?
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that we only got so many green flags, but I mean, it's cool to see that many cars out there and everybody giving it a go. So, I mean, we're trying our best to get as many cars as we can, as many laps as we can, and have some good racing.
I know it's the beginning of the CT Frog. Who are you picking straight up after looking at qualifying? I know you'd love to be out there, but who are you picking?
Look, honestly, I want to vote for the Kiwis. So, Zach and then Will Brown's a good mate of mine. So, any of those two to go good, yeah, good luck, guys. Enjoy it.
Thanks for the entertainment, pal.
Thanks, man. Cheers.
Where's Tim Miles after driving? He calls it Taylor Swift. Magnificent. You must be pumped about that, I mean.
Yeah, fantastic. It's actually the first session we've finished, so it's good to finish the first section and third. Really good. The boys worked very, very late last night, and James Watson drove all the way up to Hampton Downs to get me some bits for the gearbox, and Kenny lent me a crown on pinion. So the spirit of the whole thing is just fantastic. Really good.
It's a Verstappen car, right? It's Jos Verstappen car, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Were you channeling Max?
Yeah, Max, not Josh.
Having fun though? Great weekend. What a weekend, right?
Yes, fantastic. Just to see how many old cars, it looks so cool. Obviously, I can't watch this race, but watching all the historics and everything is just such a great idea.
Are you channeling Kenny Smith, a new race suit? Because that looks like a brand new race suit, isn't it?
It's an old one advertising Andy McRae. Yeah.
It looks good, mate. You've got a good cleaner.
Thanks,
mate. Congratulations, P3 in the Formula Atlantic's Timmy Miles racing Taylor. There she is, Taylor Swift, just like that.